Welcome back to the next event on the Mad Aaron's Wasteland server, and today you're in for a right treat. The players have the challenge of taking out 3 Rotorhead water treatment facilities, and to do so they have armed themselves a little bit better than last time. They've got some large rovers, they've got some small elite combat rovers as well, things that look like tanks, things that look like APCs, and the battle has already started. The first Rotorhead treatment facility has a power generator on the inside, and that is the player's target. Some of the Rotorheads are unlucky enough to hit their own minefield on the way down, but the other Rotorheads managed to get out of their base without a hitch. The first RAB rover has cleared the minefield and started to creep up the hill, but it's taking a lot of fire from them turrets, disabling its front wheel. Combining that with some of the defenders, the turrets are starting to fall, and I think that's what the players need to do here. They need to take out them turrets before they advance any further. Another poor Rotorhead grid smashed to smithereens as it's rammed by that large grid. Now this second RAB rover is going to attempt to try and climb up the hill. It's got a lot of wheels, it has the possibility of getting up, but does it have enough momentum? And it doesn't look like it does. And you can see they're applying the brakes, trying to slow down the descent, but the Rotorheads are being relentless. They're launching bike, and a bike after attack. There's so many bikes coming down from that hill. It's amazing that the players are even standing a chance. RAB are sending volleys of rockets against the bike, but the bikes have managed to get themselves underneath one of the Rotorhead rovers and are starting to tear off the wheels. This is a position you don't want to be in as a large rover, but luckily enough the players are reversing and they're calling in support from them smaller rovers. And the Rotorheads are aware of that, and they're diverting their fire off to these grids that are causing considerable damage via the bombardment. One of these little tanks is returning fire. It just needs to land a big shot. Yes, the support of another small rover has broke that rover in half, cutting off the missile and machine gun turrets towards the front of it. Great work there, players. There is some other small rovers that have been crushed here. One of the Rotorheads flees, but he's not spared. And the players have managed to make it up to the top of the mountain. Through that gate there, into that small building at the back is all they need to do. All they need to do is place a warhead in there and destroy this facility. Rotorheads are trying to retreat back inside, but the gates have already been sealed and they are trying to run for their life. One of the small tank rovers is focusing on the gate, and I suggest to the players here, perhaps maybe try taking out the barbed wire fence to the side. It might be a little bit easier. But shot after shot is going into them airtight doors and it's not quite down. But lucky enough, the players managed to blow off the gate and they send in an explosive rover to finish off the job. So that little hut there to the left, and kaboom. There we go, nice work from that rover, and this facility has been launched into meltdown mode. The players only have a short amount of time to get away. The tank's racing down in front of that large rover. I'd be a little bit worried following that down, especially with all them damaged wheels. And it's made it to the bottom, but it's got itself stuck. The RAB rover is going to have to divert itself off, and it looks like they are both safe. They've got a lot of repair work to do, and there goes the facility. A massive explosion for the first facility. Great work by the players. They managed to take it down in sub 10 minutes, so no more Rotorhead reinforcements were sent out to take them. They've got a brief time to repair and rearm as the Sand Shark launches a few more of their small rovers that they've got on board to protect for some of the repairs. The rest of the players are already out scouting the next location. Now the next location has the exact same facility, but it is a different rock, and the players have a bit of a smarter strategy this time. They're going to spend more time on the bombardment, taking out the turrets and taking out their heavily armoured rovers that are defending it. And you can see they're actually hitting this from 2 angles. You've got the Land Shark down on the flat ground below, and you've got RAB and some of, I believe, Loot Goblin, some of our RSA, Nod faction. There's plenty of sub-factions as well in here, and solo players who are all working together to take out this location. The Land Shark is delivering a lot of blows, but you can see there's so much Gatling gun and interior turret fire coming out from this base that needs to be dealt with before they're even going to be able to get close to deal with the minefield. But it looks like one of the Rotorheads has broken through the perimeter and he's heading straight for the Land Shark. Now the Land Shark is quite vulnerable without his escorts, and you can see the escort rovers on the right here are going to start rushing in to defend at request of the other players. The players are rapidly trying to switch between the turrets. This is where naming your turrets comes in handy, and they're trying to get an angle down on that Rotorhead rover before it cuts off or destroys any more of their wheels. Luckily the small grid has managed to get it into a spot of trouble, and there is damage being exchanged between them. The Rotorhead rover is doing really quite well in this situation, but just one turret, there we go, One big shot from them cannon and it's caused some serious damage, taking out that rear turret. One or two more, it looks like the Gatling guns have been cut off as well. They're facing into the ground, and this threat to the land shark has almost been destroyed. The little cleanup rovers that have been launched have done a great job. Now, some fireworks have been spotted here. This is possibly the Rotorheads trying to call in for reinforcements, or it could be a player just illuminating the way. Rotorhead bikes are cutting into these larger grids with their Gatling gun fire, as you can see, and they are holding the higher ground. It seems for the moment that the Rotorheads don't really want to push down into that lower ground and lose their advantage of that upper defensive position, and I don't blame them. There's a lot of Gatling gun interior turret fire going up there, and the turrets are starting to fail at this point. The Rotorheads either need to get them repaired back up or focus on defending the main entrance. Players are starting to creep up the ramp, but the Rotorheads have a nasty surprise in store for them. They have got mines laid up this slope. That is not particularly good. You can see it's ripped that rover apart and it's fallen off the side of the slope. The other one has lost its front wheels and it is bogged down. The players are going to have to attempt to possibly come up this ramp or assault it from a different angle. There's not much left of some of these small grids. Now, after some time, the players have continued their bombardment, dealing more damage to the turrets and pretty much getting all the large Rotorhead firepower offline. And because of that minefield and these rotors at the top, the players have decided for the next best option, and they're going to try and do a foot sort of assault. Conrad here frantically organising the Rotorheads in their defence. They're out of vehicles at the moment, so the best thing they can do is grab some rifles and assist with the defence, or try and repair up some of them turrets if possible. So the players now are on foot and they are moving up with some armoured support. They're sending the carrots in first to defuse any of the mines that they spot or detonate them manually. They manage to get a tank up to the top and two of the players are putting some fire down on the gate, but that gate is not going to budge and they need to get some more firepower up here to remove that gate. And just in the nick of time, I believe one of Loot Goblin's rovers has arrived, blasting its missiles towards the front of the gate, and they have got themselves a breach. A&A, or Alice, has managed to arrive and the players are now inside. They've blown off the front of the entrance while the players are distracting them here with some intense sort of gunfire in this battle between the two locations. There is some direct hits landed on this reactor, and with them direct hits, the reactor has started to go into a meltdown mode. So as the Rotorheads chase the rest of the players out of the base, they do not realise that there is a meltdown about to happen, but the players call off their forces, and just in the nick of time really, because the facility goes kaboom. And once again, the players have a little bit of time to repair because they managed to take down this facility within that 10-minute window. Now, this is the final water treatment facility, and it doesn't go too well for the players off the bat. They are instantly engaged from long range. The Landshark starts to take some hits from almost 2 or 2.5k from some of these artillery turrets and some of these autocannons that are mounted on the rover, and an exchange of gunfire begins. Of course, some of the Rotorheads are dispatched to try and deal with the Landshark, but the players are much more well aware of this situation this time, and they start to intercept these bikes and take them out as quickly as possible before they can do any damage to the Landshark. Some of the unarmed rovers even come out here trying to push them away and keep them away from the wheelbase of that large rover, but some of the players just can't get rid of this little bike, and it manages to get underneath the rover, the worst possible place for it to get. Now it's damaging axles, but the players managed to take it out. Now up on the hill, RAB are bombarding the base from the top of the facility. Once again, another coordinated attack happening here from the players, hitting it from two sides. And there is the room that they are going for. Rotorheads have quite a few vehicles in this facility, and they are launching them, trying to pursue and deter some of these smaller rovers from getting too close and starting a bombardment of their own. A&A Alice here leading one of the Rotorhead rovers away into a little bit of an ambush with another small rover waiting. Trying to harness the grip of them controls and managing that turret while driving over these dunes can be quite a challenge. But as Alice leads it over in this direction, a second support rover starts lending some fire. So the Rotorhead makes the great choice here and backs off back to defend the outpost. So some of the tanks now start to creep up, taking some really accurate shots at these Rotorhead turrets. These Gatling guns are doing a lot of damage, stopping from some of the smaller rovers from even getting close here. So some really accurate shots going onto this turret, but you can see there is welders built into this turret's defense. So these shots are simply angering the defenders here, then taking out the turrets. But some turrets are disabled as these tanks manage to sneak around and blow off by shooting underneath one of the artillery turrets. Great work. The Land Shark is getting a little bit close, and the Rotorheads are starting to see an opening. They're planning a hijacking. They mount up in the back of one of these APCs and they race down. Instead of using the bridge, jumping straight off the side, and their plan is to try and take over the Land Shark. If they can reduce the stress or blow this thing up, stop the players from spawning on it, they have a really good chance of dealing with the rest of the players up on the hill. But they're met with a few people out and about who start shooting with assault rifles, so getting aboard this sort of craft is going to be difficult. There's two entrances, one at the back landing pad and one at the front, and the Rotorheads are out. They've got rocket launchers, assault rifles in hands. There is 4 or 5 of them. They're trying to engage the other players with assault rifles. Hang on, it's the name of the place has changed. It's now the Sad Hark since things have been blown off. One of the Rotorheads managed to grab onto the ladder and is attempting to climb up into the cockpit area. So they're doing a real good job of clearing up underneath and clearing out the cockpit. The Rotorheads now have control. Their next objective is taking out their medbay, but TNT do have a sneaky surprise up their sleeve. They have a backup medbay and backup tools on the Land Shark. More and more Rotorheads are getting aboard. They're calling in for reinforcements from outside. They're screaming in the chat saying that their hub is being taken over. Absolute carnage is happening on board as the Rotorheads have almost captured the vessel. They're trying to spawn to the best of their ability, but Adobe on the Rotorhead faction here is gunning them down as they spawn. A bit brutal. They need to switch their backup spawn point, and they're all rushing to grab weapons, anything they can to hold the ship, and the medbay is down. Now that is pretty much the last of the action that we've got aboard this ship, as they do manage to get control, taking out the Rotorheads one by one by spawning on their secret survival kit. So while we looked away, A&A Alice managed to jump inside the facility. They didn't plant any explosives, they were very close to blowing the front door off, but this is where the event ended. The Rotorheads called in for large grid reinforcements and it forced the players out of the player area. But don't worry, the players did get rewarded for their actions and they received a quite notable sum of loot that was deposited at their base. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. If you're interested in joining our server, there is links down in the description of this video to our Discord. Jump on there, all the information can be found out there. Hit that like button, I much appreciate it, and I will see you next time.